I still remember the disbelief that washed over me as I looked back on everything I had done to plan my wife's birthday celebration. I had poured my entire heart into it. From the very moment I got the idea, I became obsessed with the thought of making it perfect. Late nights turned into early mornings as I went over every detail again and again. I wanted nothing less than magic for her, a night that made her feel adored and special. She wasn't just my wife. She was the center of my world. I chose a stunning rooftop venue that overlooked the city's sparkling skyline. The view alone felt like a romantic dream. I imagined her standing there in the soft evening light, smiling at the people she loved, knowing I had done it all for her. The place was dressed to impress, with twinkling lights, elegant floral arrangements, and soft jazz playing in the background. I arranged for a magnificent 5-tier cake, a mix of rich chocolate and smooth vanilla, her favorites. There was also a towering champagne display, the glasses glittering like diamonds under the lights. Everything was crafted to enchant her and impress the guests. I wanted her to be proud of what I had done. As the evening unfolded, I waited for the moment when she might acknowledge the effort I had put into making the night unforgettable. I wasn't looking for public praise, but maybe a quiet word, or even just a look that said, "Thank you, this means everything." But instead, she raised her glass and delivered a toast to someone else. His name was Damon Rivera, a colleague from her office. She laughed and spoke about how supportive he had been, how he always had her back. Everyone around us clapped and cheered, but I stood frozen, my smile struggling to stay in place. I felt like the floor had been pulled out from under me. Then came the gift she had for me. With a big grin, she handed me a neatly wrapped box. I opened it slowly, still reeling from the toast. Inside was a t-shirt, boldly printed with one word, divorced. She laughed, saying it was a joke, something playful to lighten the mood. But there was nothing funny about it. Not to me. That one word, revealed in front of all those people, felt like a slap across the face. The humiliation stung deep. In that instant, I saw everything clearly. The years I had spent trying to make her happy, the ways I had diminished myself, and how little it seemed to mean to her. I didn't make a scene. I couldn't. I was too stunned, too hurt, and too tired. Quietly, I slipped the delicate bracelet I had bought for her into the gift box and left it on the table. It had taken me weeks to find one that I felt captured her beauty, her elegance. I had imagined her face lighting up when she opened it, but now it meant nothing. I walked away from the party without saying a word, disappearing into the night. The next few days were a blur. I stayed with my old friend Theo, someone I trusted, someone who didn't ask too many questions. In the quiet of his guest room, I began to unpack the emotional weight I had carried for so long. I thought about how often I had given and given, only to become a side character in my own marriage. Somewhere along the way, I had become a punchline instead of a partner. I dove into work to distract myself. I started going to the gym regularly, pushing my body as a way to regain control over something, anything. Little by little, I began to feel like I was building a new foundation under my feet. I met with a lawyer, calmly and methodically laying the groundwork for a divorce. I didn't want revenge, and I had no desire for a messy fight. I simply wanted to move on with dignity. Eventually, I began writing about my experiences. I started a blog, not really expecting anyone to read it. I just needed a place to make sense of everything. But to my surprise, people connected with it. Strangers reached out with messages of support and shared their own stories of betrayal and healing. My words, raw and honest, became a source of comfort for others. That connection gave me strength. As the blog grew, it became more than a personal journal. It turned into a platform, a space where I could speak openly about pain, growth, and finding self-worth again. Invitations started coming in for interviews, then public talks. I found myself standing in front of audiences, speaking about vulnerability, betrayal, and how to rebuild after everything falls apart. It was surreal. And yet it felt right. I was finally living for myself. Then one day she called. My ex-wife. She sounded different, soft, regretful. She said she had made a mistake, that she hadn't realized what she had until it was gone.
She wanted to meet.
But I had changed. I told her the truth, that I had moved on, and I was no longer the man she could dismiss or belittle. There was no anger in my voice, only clarity. I wished her well, and that was the end of it. The turning point came when I gave a keynote speech in Milan. Standing on that stage, I looked out at the audience and realized how far I had come. I was no longer defined by heartbreak or humiliation. I had turned my pain into purpose, my silence into strength. It wasn't just about moving on, it was about becoming someone I respected again. Now, I wake up each day with peace in my heart. I no longer wonder what I did wrong or how I could have changed things. I understand that I can't control how others treat me, but I can choose how I respond. I've rebuilt my life with intention, with passion, and with the unshakable knowledge that I deserve love, respect, and joy. I'm not the man I used to be. I'm better. And for the first time in a long time, I'm truly free. In the months that followed, I continued to focus on myself, not in a selfish way, but in a necessary one. For so long, I had lived in the shadow of someone else's needs, always adjusting, always giving. But now, for the first time, I was learning how to be whole on my own. I traveled more. Not to escape, but to experience life beyond the bubble I had lived in. I stood on the cliffs of the Pacific Ocean in Oregon, hiked through the forests of Northern California, and even spent a few quiet weeks in a small village in southern France. Everywhere I went, I met people who were kind, curious, and full of stories. Those simple conversations over coffee or while watching the sunset reminded me how vast and beautiful the world really is and how small my past began to feel in comparison. There were moments when the pain still surfaced. Sometimes it hit me out of nowhere, a certain song, the smell of her favorite perfume on a stranger, or a memory from a time when I truly believed we were happy. But even those moments began to shift. They didn't sting the way they used to. Instead, they became quiet reminders of how far I'd come. My blog continued to grow, but more importantly, the community around it blossomed into something I never could have imagined. People from all over the world share their stories of heartbreak, healing, rediscovery. It became a place where no one had to feel alone. We didn't just talk about pain. We celebrated strength, small victories, and the beauty of second chances. I also started mentoring others who were going through their own divorces or breakups. Not as a therapist, but as someone who had walked that road and come out stronger. Some had been abandoned, others betrayed. But in every story, I saw pieces of my own past, and I knew how deeply they hurt. Being there for them helped me heal, too. Then one day, as life often does, something unexpected happened. I met someone. It wasn't dramatic or intense. It started as a friendship, simple, genuine, unforced. Her name was Elise, and she had this quiet strength in her, the kind you don't notice right away, but it stays with you. She didn't ask for explanations or try to fix me. She just listened, and slowly, gently, I began to trust again.
We took our time.
There were no grand declarations or sweeping gestures. Just real conversations, long walks, laughter that came easily, and silences that felt safe. For the first time, I wasn't trying to prove my worth to someone. I was just being me, and that was enough. Looking back now, I don't regret what happened. I wouldn't want to relive it, of course, but I wouldn't erase it either. That pain, that betrayal, it cracked me open. And through those cracks, the light finally got in. I discovered who I truly was. I rebuilt myself, not as a reaction to someone else's failure to love me, but as a reflection of the love I finally found for myself. I'm not perfect. I still have days when doubt creeps in. But now, I face those moments with grace instead of fear. I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table. And I know that love, real love, starts with how you treat yourself. So this is my story. A story that began in heartbreak and ended in healing. A story of letting go, rising up, and learning to live fully again. If you're in that dark place, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again, believe me, you will. It won't be quick, and it won't be easy. But it will be worth it. And one day, you'll look back, just like I am now, and realize that the end of one chapter was really just the beginning of your greatest one yet.